With his 2017 directorial debut, Get Out, Jordan Peele transformed his career overnight. After decades of cutting his teeth on sketch comedy, from Mad TV to Key and Peele, he is now firmly positioned as the next mainstream master of genre filmmaking. On this episode of Price of Admission, we're going to talk about why. Us is a thrilling horror film that pits an upper-middle-class family against their horrifying, scissor-wielding, jumpsuit-wearing doppelgangers. Where did they come from? What do they want? Where did they get those fresh jumpsuits? These questions and more are maybe answered. First off, if you're looking for nail-biting suspense, you've come to the right place. Peele spends the first act of this film letting the fear slowly build, while Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke pull you into their charismatic family with career-best performances. The stage is well set for the scares to come in, and when they do, the film catapults into a high-octane thriller that will keep you on the edge of your seat. There's a psychological, slow burn quality to the horror in this movie that puts it leagues above its contemporaries. There is no reliance on cheap jump scares, and there's a lot of restraint when it comes to on-screen blood and gore. Peele wants you to be spooked by the family's doubles because they're, creepy as hell. You'll imagine what you would do if you came face to face with the darkest possible version of yourself. If you're familiar with Get Out, you might be expecting this movie to take aim at a social issue, and it should come as no surprise that Peele does just that. And to the film's immense credit, the social theme is far more subtle and subtextual in this film. Part of the fun and cleverness of this movie is that it gives you, as a viewer, the puzzle pieces to figure out what the overall message is, which in my opinion is more engaging and empowering than the direct parable of Get Out. With all of this being said, Us is not a perfect movie. There are a handful of scenes where the script overextends itself, trying to justify the circumstances surrounding the events of the plot. Exposition can kind of kill the fear and the pacing in some very crucial scenes. In its attempt to answer the big questions, it ends up inadvertently raising a lot of small ones. So you might leave the theater hung up on the unexplained details instead of ruminating on the film's message and how it made you feel. At the end of the day, though, that's a pretty minor complaint against this film. It has all the tight, focused, clever writing that helped make Get Out such a sensation, and it applies it to an even more high-concept story. The film is peppered with unforgettable, breathtaking moments, and some visual iconography that will stay with me for a very long time thanks to the meaning Peele imbues it with. The film has heart, humor, horror, and high-octane thrills, with an impressive score and soundtrack that holds it all together. If you've seen the trailer, odds are you know whether or not this film is for you. There will be those of you who just don't do horror, and Us will be a hard sell if that's the case. But there's a lot more to this movie than just the horror. It's a kind of horror that's not manipulative or exploitative or reliant on gore. This isn't like Hereditary or the Suspiria remake, so it didn't give me any nightmares. What I'm saying is, there's enough substance and soul to this movie that I think it's worth your time even if you're not a horror fanatic, which means, of course, that it's absolutely worth the price of admission. I'm Lawson Smead, and thanks for watching The Price of Admission.